Hello, my name is Thomas E. Edmund Jr., better known as TJ, and I come here today to discuss the book Far from the Tree by Robin Benway. I chose this book because I feel like the themes of family and belonging are strong within this book, and I believe that the topics that this book tackles are real, realistic challenges that need to be talked about more. This is a photo of me at the adoption agency in South Korea in 2002. As an adoptee myself, who met my family 20 years ago, I can relate to this book Far from the Tree. I was born in Busan, South Korea, and came home to America in 2002. This book, Far from the Tree, covers the three main protagonists and tells their stories. The first character that we meet is Grace. Grace is the middle child and a teen mother. She ends up putting her baby up for adoption, but ultimately thinks, will my baby think I don't want them? Because this is a question that she too has to deal with when thinking about her biological mother. She faces this internal struggle, ridicule from her family and peers at school, and the notion that she no longer has any freedom being a new mother. However, Grace's story demonstrates a model of overcoming adversity and maintaining a strong attitude throughout. Maya is the next character that we are introduced to. She is the youngest of the three protagonists and struggles with her identity, both as a lesbian and an adoptee raised by a family that doesn't look like her. For example, in her chapters, she mentions how they have red hair and she has brown hair. They all don't look the same in family photos. She is outgoing, feisty, and more outspoken than her two biological siblings. She has to navigate her parents' divorce and her mother's apparent alcoholism with her adoptive little sister. And her story too demonstrates strength through adversity, as she also has to deal with an identity crisis. The oldest of the three siblings, Joaquin, has remained in the foster care system for most of his life, so he has moved around a bunch of times and never really had a permanent family life to call his own. In the book, there is a family that is his foster parents, named Mark and Linda, who plan to adopt him. But Joaquin is rather hesitant because he doesn't want to face the emotional trauma and utter disappointment similar to what he has faced at one of his previous placements, where he was physically and emotionally abused. He doesn't want to rehash or reopen old wounds of emotional and physical pain. He sometimes feels like a burden, and he struggles with establishing strong social relationships. And similar to Maya, he struggles with his identity. Grace has always been curious about her biological mom, Melissa, so she encourages Maya and Joaquin to join in her effort in finding their mother. but Grace is the only one really enthusiastic to do so, as the other two are rather reluctant. As the book comes to an ending, Maya finds an envelope with a return address for Melissa, so the kids decide to make a surprise visit to her. Upon their arrival at the address, they are greeted by Jessica, their aunt and Melissa's sister. Jessica reveals the sad news that Melissa was killed in a truck accident, but gave the kids a key to a safety deposit box. The safety deposit box held photos of Melissa with each of her biological children. This cements the idea and moves Joaquin to realize his biological mom really loved him as well as his younger sisters. Grace finally gets to see her baby girl she nicknamed Peach. Maya welcomes home her mom and accepts her alcoholism, and Joaquin finally has a family that loves and supports him, and one that he can call his own. Family is a central theme to the plot of this book, and the close examination of each of these families is an important element to the story. This book takes a look at the different structure in each of the protagonists' families. An important note is the relationship between the siblings and the feelings of belonging in a non-blood related family as Maya experiences. Both Grace and Maya allow their older brother to cope with his apparent depression and allow him to feel wanted in a family situation, since he was deprived of that for most of his life, bouncing around in the foster care system from home to home. Each set of parents is rather supportive and present in the situation, but the siblings also find ways to support each other and help each one overcome individual challenges. Each child has to deal with a specific problem exclusive to their own family unit. For example, Maya has to work through her parents' divorce and her mother as an alcoholic. Grace has to face the constant pressure to always want to do the right thing, and Joaquin has to find a solid foundation. There are many varieties of families in the world. Biological, adoptive, step, generational, foster, and extended family examples. It does not matter how a family is formed, but the idea of structure matters, something that most families, however formed, must recognize, is that blood does not necessarily make a family, and just because you don't resemble each other doesn't mean that you are not related. Maya's adoptive mother is dealing with alcohol abuse, and her parents are working through a divorce. Alcoholics Anonymous is a support group for alcoholics, and Al-Anon/Alateen is a group for kids of parents/guardians facing alcoholism. There are also support groups for families going through the divorce process. Joaquin struggles as a biracial child, and Maya views herself as an outsider as she looks differently than her adoptive family, while also attempting to build an identity as a member of the LGBTQI+ community. Many LGBTQI+ organizations, as well as grassroots groups, offer support and counseling services for those experiencing identity crises, challenges when coming out, and peer mentoring services that connect peers with others going through similar circumstances. On top of being a teenager, Grace sees her role as a young mother thrust upon her, and faces ridicule both at home and at school. Planned Parenthood is an organization that offers many types of support services for pregnant teens and adults. Should adoption be a factor in the pregnancy, many adoption agencies assist with this, as well as lawyers and church organizations. I hope that by including these resources that the audience can see the impact of these topics and that they are given the appropriate resources to deal with these certain situations if they encounter them in their own lives. These challenges that the book tackles are ones that still endure today. According to data collected in 2020 by ifoster.org, there were approximately 20,000 youths between the ages of 18 to 21 that aged out of the foster care system, like Joaquin. This number is an estimate, but regardless, many youths are annually pushed out of the system without having found a forever home, which forces them to fend for themselves. Not just in the United States like in Grace's circumstance, but adolescent pregnancies are a global concern. Data collected from the World Health Organization shows that at least 10 million cases of unintended pregnancies that occur each year are among adolescent girls aged 15 to 19 years old. Even though young people still struggle to come to terms with establishing their own identity, like Maya does, there has been a recent uptick in the number of those who identify as a member of the LGBTQI+ community. In a recent article published by USA Today that described a recent Gallup poll, a record number, 5.6% of adults, identify as members of the LGBTQI+ community, which is up from 4.5% recorded in 2017. Maya struggles with breaking up with her girlfriend and trying to cope with the challenges within her family unit. Had there been more resources to appropriately address these concerns, she could have received professional help and been more vocal while working through the obstacles that faced her. If you are looking for a heartfelt book that explores the power of family dynamics and the strength of teenagers overcoming obstacles of great adversity, then I'd recommend reading Far from the Tree by Robin Benway. You laugh sometimes, you cry sometimes, you cry sad and happy tears, and see the true value that this book brings to the topics of adoption and families overall. The issues that this novel brings to the surface level are real concerns that many people still face today, and you become invested in these characters and their stories of raw truth and defying the odds. Grace, Maya, and Joaquin, quote unquote, literally jump off of the page and into the world as they face real life challenges with strength and the power of family on their side. As a gay Korean American adoptee, I see the struggles of each of these protagonists. I feel that had there been more resources available to these characters, they may have been able to overcome the obstacles that were in their pathways as young adolescents. Each of them showed strength and perseverance in their own unique way, and overcame what life threw at them, no matter the cost, despite not having available resources. As a soon-to-be freshman in high school, I realized my true self as a gay teenager. Coming out to my family was a relief, to say the least, as I no longer had to keep this secret to myself. The support I received was overwhelming, as I have two gay uncles and many friends who identify as members of the LGBTQI+ community. I realize I am very fortunate and blessed to have the resources and support system that the characters in the book did not have or plan to seek out. Thank you and have a great day.